Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. Welcome to Equality and Rights for All. I'm your host, Anthony Lorito-Duke, and we have an interesting topic for today's show in which it is jury in the Breonna Taylor's case found one officer guilty on three counts of wanton endangerment. And this was not the outcome that people were expecting. Uh, People were more expecting uh, for the officer or officers to be found of murder or manslaughter. Now, they found one officer, the jury found one officer guilty on three counts of wanton endangerment. And the reason why I'm stressing out three counts is because for one count of wanton endangerment, the sentence for that is up to 5 years in prison, which again, that's for one count of wanton endangerment. And first of all, before I continue, just to let people know, uh, wanton endangerment is a Class D felony, which is uh, lower than murder and manslaughter and stuff like that. So just to let people know, I mean, if you're common sense, but for people who don't know, I just explained that to you. And now let me get back to why I was stressing out about the three counts of wanton endangerment. Because like I said, for one count, for one count of wanton endangerment, that's a sentence of up to 5 years in prison. So, since this one officer was found guilty on three counts of wanton endangerment, that is a sentence of up to 15 years in prison. So, I wanted to stress that out, and I wanted to explain that to people. Um, so he is still going to go to prison, and what's going to happen is that officer is going to go back to court, hopefully soon, and in which to hear exactly how many years in prison they're going to sentence him to. And so that's why for right now, they just had a jury had to find him, this officer, guilty of something, and they found him guilty of three counts of wanton endangerment. So hopefully he gets a sentence of the full 15 years. And but what I also want to stress out to people is that uh, the worst thing to happen to any police officer, okay, is to be put in prison. Okay, well, for obvious reasons. I mean, you know, uh, they help to put people in prison. So either which way, no matter how you look at it, when he's sentenced to whatever amount of years in prison, this officer is going to be killed in prison. They're going to kill him. Come on. I mean, that's just pure common sense to realize that. So even though the jury did not find the officer guilty of murder, manslaughter, or whatever, at least they got him on this. And when he goes to do his sentence, they're going to kill him in prison. I mean, that's just anybody with half of a pea brain would know that. So, I mean, and the other thing that I want to stress out to people is that let's just say, for hypothetically speaking, if they found this officer guilty of murder, And let's just say they sentenced him to death, right? That doesn't mean that they're going to do that, overnight. Then it could take years, you know, and then he can, the officer and his attorney could appeal everything, and it can go on for years and years and years. So, let this officer be found of at least of this, and let him be sentenced to whatever amount of years in prison. Let them kill him in prison, because they're going to do that to him. Once they find out that he's a cop and that uh, he killed a black person, they're going to kill him in jail, in prison. They're going to kill him. So let it be done that way. It's less for the taxpayers, right? The taxpayers don't have to worry about the tax money, being spent on this officer who will probably spend years and years and years in prison waiting to be put to death or whatever. Let them kill him in prison. It's cheaper. It's quicker. You know, there you go. So, um, seriously. But anyways, um, I mean, it was just shocking to wake up to this and reading about this today, and it is really really sad, but it is what it is. And the other thing that I want to uh, make sure that people understand is to uh, find somebody guilty of murder. Okay, it uh, it has to be proven that person um, intended to kill whomever. Okay, you have to prove intent. And of course, this officer did not intend to kill Breonna. It's not like the officer said, I'm going to go out and kill Breonna today. No, he did not do that. That's why he was not found guilty of murder. And for as far as manslaughter is concerned, um, whether voluntary or involuntary, it varies state by state. The laws for that varies state by state. So whatever the law or laws are for uh, the state that Breonna Taylor lived in, where she was killed in, whatever the law or the laws are for that state, um, I have no idea about, and uh, so and it depends upon that, and that's when and there are some states that are more stricter than others in regards to manslaughter, whether it's voluntary or involuntary. And so uh, the people for that state, you know, they have to um, uh, take it up with their local elected officials, like their governor, their mayors, their senators, their council members, their assembly members, and so on and so forth. Their local senators, council members, assembly members, those are the ones that create the laws for that particular state. And the mayors and the governors are the ones that sign off on those laws to complete and make it concrete that that's the laws for that area, for those cities and that state. So it's really up to the people to uh, to find out who their local elected officials are, and um, when election time. This is why I always stressed out that election time is so important. And there are many people out there who feel like, well, our senator elections, our assembly member elections, our council member elections, they don't mean anything. They're at the bottom of the totem pole, blah, blah, blah. And this is why uh, it's important to vote for your local senators, council members, assembly members, and so on and so forth, and because those are your local lawmakers, and if you want proper change, you have to take that up with them. And of course, your mayor elections and your governor elections; these are all important elections, and you have to take it up with all of your elected officials if you want proper change. Okay, so uh, that's another thing I wanted to stress out to people. Now, um, I mean, this is just really heartbreaking to hear this news about the jury's decision on this case. And so, um, like I said, unfortunately, it is what it is. And, you know, the attorneys that represented both sides, they know the law, the judge knows the law. And um, so that's why the decision was made the way that it was. So, I'm just glad that at least they found him on this. And the next step at the sentencing hearing, th- that judge has to, in my opinion, anyhow, really has to sentence this officer to the full extent of the 15 years. So, truth. I mean, really. But anyways, uh, I want to remind all my fans out there about my business, my website, which is Advocate Information Highway, and the link to there is awldny.com. And once I'm done hosting this episode of this show, I will host another episode of my show, Advocate Information Highway, on YouTube. And so, with that, take care, everybody. Bye.